So, salam alaikum, Zakaria. Yeah, salam alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. Welcome to our ISB Q&A during quarantine time. I hope that you are discovering new stuff. You're spending, I would say, quality time. You are working or overworking from home. It depends on how you see things. And Today, I do have a very important topic, a very important guest to present this topic. And actually, during the past period, if you are watching the news, you've seen lots of unfortunate unemployment claims and people lost their jobs. So, how to access this unemployment? What's happening in the law? There's a new thing, new federal law. What facts around this law? Who should apply? Who can apply? When can I receive this money? And all those questions and more will be answered today by our guest, which is Monica Halas. So, Monica, how are you? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So just prior, giving it to Monica, I would like to give you a background on Monica. Monica, our guest today, is a consulting attorney, and excuse me, I'm reading from here, is a consulting attorney at Greater Boston Legal Services with expertise in unemployment insurance law, which is something that we need to know more about in today's session. Monica is currently at GPLS Services, where she was working there since 1979. Wow. As a staff attorney, as a senior attorney, and a lead attorney in the employment law unit. She's a graduate from the University of Mass, Boston, and Northeastern University School of Law. Awesome. My kid is studying at the same university. Hope that she will be like you at one point. And she has represented countless clients in unemployment insurance claims and works closely with community-based clients and labor on systematic changes to the mass unemployment law and other public policy campaigns. It's amazing bio, and I think you are the right person to talk to us and our community in the stuff that's going on right now. First of all, I hope that you are staying safe and everything is good at your end with you and your family. And Monica, let me start by, we don't have time, and I know that you have too many things to share with us. Let me start by this question. How this unemployment law or process or policy works. Give us first a conceptual overview look about this unemployment law.
So unemployment law is a program. It's administered both by the state with oversight by the federal government to provide benefits to workers who are out of work. There's various criteria in the state unemployment law in order to be eligible for benefits. You have to have worked essentially for a year. You have to have earned $5,100, and you have to be able and available for work. Those criteria, however, have changed dramatically during this pandemic. Now you are eligible if you are out of work for any reason related to the pandemic. So that means if you have lost your job because your business has closed, or your employer's business has closed, or you have to stay home to take care of a child because the school or daycare is closed, or you have been quarantined or exposed to somebody with the virus, or you have decided to self-quarantine because you realize that there's just too much of a risk to your health if you continue working. So for all those reasons, you are now eligible to receive state unemployment benefits. And then I think we will get to, in the course of this conversation, the additional benefits and the different criteria that are now in play because of a new federal law.
Awesome. So what you're saying that there was a law and now they have added some other stuff to this law so that people get benefit, because like you mentioned something like, if I will self-quarantine and there will no income, I can apply for that. But this is a question that will come in our conversation today. But right now, can anyone apply for unemployment both ways, through the states and through the feds, or it's one umbrella that covers both?
So the unemployment system is administered through the state agency here in Massachusetts. It's the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance. And to get your state benefits, you apply there. And also for any additional federal add-ons, you also apply through the state system that is administering the federal funds that are now coming into the state.
Perfect. And for the audience, all those links and more, and our conversation, will be putting links in this live, and we're putting Word documents that document each and everything. If you'd like to go back to know where to apply or all any of those information, you will find them in these documents after after our conversations. So you mentioned that there is a new pandemic unemployment assistance law that's happening right now because of what's going on. And you mentioned in your introduction that some categories of people who can apply for that. Can we like have a deep dive on those criteria and people who will be eligible for this unemployment? And like if I've been working for 6 months, not a year, what shall I do? If there's anything that I can do for that. So can we have a deep dive into who's eligible and those outliers cases?
So yes. So one thing, so the law that was enacted on March 27th is called the CARES Act, CARES. And the CARES Act did a number of things to help workers and businesses. With respect to unemployment, it has three new provisions. One is that anybody who is collecting unemployment through a state program or through a federal program, and in Massachusetts, the dates are a little bit different in each state, but in Massachusetts, if you are getting unemployment, even if it's only $1 of unemployment through the state, you are eligible for an extra $600 a week. And that extra is during the period of March 29th and the end of July. So for approximately 4 months, you're eligible for an extra $600 a week. And if you've been delayed in applying, which has happened to so many people because the system cannot cope with the number of claims, and you were unemployed before you applied, you will get that $600 for every week starting March 29th. So that's one of the three federal programs. The second is usually unemployment lasts right now in
Monica,
Massachusetts. Yes,
yeah, just like take it up one by one. So
yes,
number one, if
yes,
I was making $1 from the unemployment, let's put it this way,
right.
prior to this pandemic, right now I'm eligible to $601.
That's correct.
That's
So
right.
whatever your state, that's a really good question. So in Massachusetts, your state benefit depends on how long you worked and how much you earned. The maximum you can get in Massachusetts is $823 a week. Plus, you're also entitled to a dependency allowance for your children, which is $25 a week up to half of your check. On top of whatever your state unemployment check is, you will also get the $600 a week, but that $600 will, at this point, will only be added during that 4 month period, the end of March till the end of July.
And if there's a chance they will extend it, or like because we don't know what's going on.
That's right. There are efforts going on right now in Congress to extend that $600 add-on. It's
Okay,
absolutely right.
till we know what's going on. Okay, so this is like number one
Yes.
categories. Okay, so what else?
So the amount of time that you can get unemployment in Massachusetts right now is up to 26 weeks. For some workers, they end up getting less than the 26 weeks. again, because of certain formulas on how your unemployment is calculated. Whenever you reach the end of your state benefits, again, starting with March 29th, if you're ending or you have ended, you're entitled to an additional 13 weeks of federally funded benefits. And the amount you get is the same as you are getting on your state benefits. And again, if those 13 weeks fall between that magical time period of the end of March till the end of July, you also get the additional $600 a week during that time period. It's very common during recessions, depressions, et cetera, for Congress to enact several extensions. So we also expect that there will be more extensions beyond the 13 weeks in the CARES Act.
That's very nice. This is like a blunt question. So, can I forecast how much I'll be making as unemployment? So, if like someone is making, I would say 50, or someone is making 100 a year, there's a formula to expect how much I'll be getting exactly from the unemployment if they're going to.
Yes, sorry. Yes, there is. So um, roughly you get half of what your paycheck was. However, there's a maximum, and the maximum is calculated as a percentage of all workers' wages. And the maximum now is $823. There is on the unemployment website a way to calculate your benefits. It's called Benefit Calculator, so that you can determine exactly what you are going to get.
Perfect. So, say like half the paycheck and
Up
the
to a maximum of
or
823.
823. So like don't expect like senior executives who are making like big checks. They will
Right.
like eligible to the maximum, but nothing more.
Right. Essentially, anybody earning more than $1,600 is not going to get more.
Nothing more than that. Awesome.
Exactly.
So who is eligible? So I will tell you like why I'm asking these questions. Our community, they do have like a good chunk of them are immigrants, people who like applied for asylum and still waiting, or people like who are made it like change in their status and they're waiting right now and get stuck, or people like who are on H-1B visa and they were like working, however right now their employers lay them off. So, and I'm not talking right now about religious or house of worship workers, NGOs or 501c3. I'm talking about like people in corporates. So who is eligible?
So essentially, for immigrants, you are eligible for unemployment if you have a valid social security number and you have a work authorization document. And that would include um, DACA, temporary protected status, asylees, any status that gives you a work authorization document. Unfortunately, I don't believe that H-1B workers are currently eligible, but we need to talk about the third part of the changes to the CARES Act because there's some flexibility there.
Okay, perfect. So just before jumping into my next question, I have two questions from our viewers. Asma Rosez. She's saying that's how long it takes from submitting your application to receive your unemployment approved benefits. If someone is working in a nonprofit organization, would he or she be eligible for unemployment insurance?
So great questions. It's unfortunately taking far too long to get unemployment benefits right now. And the reason for that is the states have essentially been starved over the decades of sufficient administrative funding from the federal government. So the online systems are somewhat dysfunctional, very fragile. And that's what's happening in Massachusetts. There's been a tsunami of unemployment claims on top of a system that just can't handle it. So the way they've had to get around it is by having so many people hired up very quickly to answer questions on the phone when people cannot get through the online system. So once they get your application, they are turning it around very quickly, but there have been really unfortunate delays. In terms of the next question, yes, you're absolutely eligible if you are working for a nonprofit organization. The difference between for-profit and nonprofit is for-profit have to pay into the unemployment insurance system. They are what's called contributory employers. Nonprofits and governments have the opportunity to choose to pay into the system or to be a reimbursable employer. So they only have to pay when you make the claim. That's very expensive for nonprofits if they haven't insured, because they are then going to pay every dollar of the claim, but they are still required to do that.
Okay, and this is like non-profit regardless of their status, whether they are religious organizations.
Well, I'm glad you raised that, because in addition to the $600, the 13 extra weeks, the other big change that was made in the federal law is the creation of a new pandemic unemployment assistance program. And what that program does is it provides unemployment benefits to those workers who have been traditionally excluded from unemployment. So we're talking about self-employed workers, gig economy workers, workers in religious institutions, people who haven't earned enough to qualify for unemployment, people who haven't worked long enough. So all of these new categories are in the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. It's a very complicated program to set up for the state. So the state has not yet it is not yet able to give people benefits under this program. They are anticipating that they will be able to do so on April 30th. And then at that point, your unemployment check will be either what you could have gotten under the state law if you had reported earnings, or there's a minimal amount that you get if you weren't able to show those earnings. And that minimal amount is $268 a week.
Mhm.
And once again, if you're getting benefits under this program, if you're eligible between those 4 months, end of March to end of July, whatever you're getting on this new program, you get the additional $600. And one other important feature of this new program is that it's retroactive to February 2nd of this year. So you will be able to get back benefits to any time that you were unemployed, and the reason for your unemployment was the pandemic. As long as you can show a link, you will be eligible for unemployment back to February 2nd, and then during the months between end of March and end of July, you'll be able to get the extra $600. And this program at this point lasts for 39 weeks. But if there are additional federal extensions enacted, then you'll be able to get the additional weeks as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica. Actually, you mentioned something about like this tsunami of requests that been flooding over the online platforms, and I think there's a lots of learning that we learned as a country, as a nation, from what's going on, either like on the medical system or even like on the online platform, or an our like I would say like preparedness to face something like that. So I think this will definitely change the face how we will do business
Right.
post COVID-19. I have a question from Noel Ranjit. She said that, hello, Monica. My name is Noel Ranjit. I've been living and working in Mass since 2018. However, my employer is in Virginia. Consider them like a staffing agent. The client, however, is in Mass. I have a W-2 pay stubs from Virginia, but I only have timesheets from the client at Mass. Will this be enough to file proof of work for filing for unemployment? I'm concerned about proof of wage from NAS.
Wonderful question. So if you have worked in two states, so this is a little bit different than your question, but just to lay the groundwork. If you have worked in more than one state, and one of the states is Massachusetts, I always recommend that you file in Massachusetts because the benefits are the highest in the country. If you have not, if your employer and your wages come from an out-of-state employer, you still can file in Massachusetts, and it will be considered what's called an interstate claim. And on the facts that you've just said, I don't know, frankly, whether you will be considered a Virginia employee or a Massachusetts employee. But if you have information about your wages, you'll have the ability to submit that as part of your claim for benefits.
Even like they showed they have been living in Mass, paying rent or paying mortgage for the past like a year or so. Would this considered be to be as like a proof of being a resident in Mass?
So that's a great question. So the issue is not where you're a resident, but the issue will be decided by where you will have been determined to have worked. And I think there's a good case to be made that you've worked in Massachusetts, given that the client is here, but I don't know how they will determine that.
We'll look at it. Okay. So I do have another question from Nasiro. She's saying that, or is saying, if application is denied, did you ever like faced an application that being denied? I would say prior to the pandemic, and what would happen? Let's forecast or like speculate what would happen in the pandemic. Do you think applications will be denied?
So certainly because of the pandemic, a lot of administrative features of the unemployment law have been relaxed. Before the pandemic, you had to prove that you were actively looking for work. Obviously, that's not possible now, so that has been relaxed. Before the pandemic, if you didn't meet the agency's very strict timelines for appealing or for submitting documentation, that could end up hurting your claim, whereas now they're being much more flexible in terms of giving you time to respond. I think there's a genuine desire on the part of the unemployment agency to get checks in people's hands as quickly as possible because of the recognition that we are all, if we are out of work, we are out of work primarily due to the pandemic. If you have been denied, however, you should absolutely appeal to make sure that your claim is reviewed and that you're not otherwise eligible for benefits.
Okay, thank you, Monica. I have another question, Monica. What about not being laid off? What about salary cuts? What about the people who took like 50% salary cut, like more?
Right. Great question. So you are eligible for unemployment if you have been involuntarily let go or your hours have been reduced. So it wasn't your choice to reduce your hours, but it was your employer's. And then what will happen is they will look at your remaining income and what you would be eligible for in unemployment. And the first third of your income is not counted against your unemployment check, but every dollar after that is deducted from your check. And again, that's set out in the benefit calculator. But if I can give you an example, maybe to make it a little easier. So if your unemployment check was $300 a week, and you can earn $100 a week without it taking any dollars away from your unemployment check. And importantly, once again, even if you're getting these reduced unemployment checks during the period of end of March to end of July, you will get the full $600 addition.
Awesome. You know what? While you're asking, answering those questions, I'm concerned. about like you said that, and they will be looking into your claim. They will be investigating all the stuff. Who will be looking? Like right now, you said that there's a tsunami of like flood
Right,
of requests. So
right.
this is gonna be like streamlined process? Shall I expect that? Because I need my check to feed my family. Shall I expect this to be like in a week or two? I'm pretty much concerned. And you said that they are hiring people to respond to the claims to the citizens on the phone. So it's not only hiring, it's hiring and training the staff to be able to answer the phone and reply. So I'm a bit concerned about the duration of the process. However, you said that it's taking long. Do you know like what does long mean? Is it like are we looking into a week or two or a month or two?
Excellent question, and you've just hit upon the heart of the problem. Um, Again, we have a system that is somewhat dysfunctional, and now so many claims. There is a move in Congress to vastly increase the amount of money that can come to the states to implement these programs. I've heard anywhere from 30 to 40 billion dollars. Billion is the hope, because the states need a lot of help exactly for the reason that you said, that there are so many claims. As you can hear just from my brief summary, the system itself is complicated. It has so many different eligibility requirements and time periods. So they really do need substantial help and multilingual help. That's the other problem with the UI online system. It's only in English. Now, the state has just produced a Spanish application. That's just for applying, and they're going to do that in several other languages. But do not have a entire system that's translated or available. In addition, the online system does not work on a tablet or a smartphone, so you have to have access to computers and be able to use computers. So that's another barrier for people, and why the telephone system is so critical as a backstop to all the problems.
Awesome. Monica, from my position here, I would like to ask all the Islamic institutions and House of Worship. I'm calling on Ibrahim, I'm calling on Kareem. If this is something that you can guys do it at the ISB and ISBCC, whereby you have a station for whoever don't have access to computers so that you can fill those unemployment claims for them, please, I advocate for that. We want our elderly who are not very good with computers or who don't have access to computers to be able to have a contact with the ISBCC, and so that we can help them to fill it. And my question to you, Monica, are they considered Arabic as a language or just like now English and Spanish?
I don't believe that there are other languages that they're talking about: Haitian Creole, Portuguese, Chinese, Vietnamese, but I do not believe I have seen anything about Arabic speakers.
Okay, fine. One last.
Could I just add something about that?
Sure.
Because I'm really glad you raised that point. And my office has a large project that we're staffing with staff and volunteers from law firms to help individuals who do not speak English and who do not have computer access file claims. So I think there's a wonderful collaboration that would be possible here, to collaborate with people who speak the language and collaborate with us so that we are able to help people in your community access the benefits.
That's an awesome idea. And from my position here, I'm calling Engineer Wael, Brother Wael, who is the director for the ISB and ISBCC, to take this and take it from here and lead this project and partner with you so that we can do something together. And I mean like something not only for the Muslim community, but for the citizens in general. So this, and actually we do have the computers, we do have the infrastructure, we do have the place. So actually we can do that, and this will be great. And we have like the staff who can help at this point. One last question, because we're running out of time. If there's any implication on the employers, we've been talking about employees, and they will benefits. If there is anything for employers, apart from the PPP that we've been hearing about?
Yes. So employers are for for-profit employers are not being charged at this point for the unemployment insurance, and both for-profit and nonprofit are not being charged at all for any of the federal benefits. So there's no charge to them. It's a win-win. It gets money in workers' pockets, and it does not cost the employers. In addition, there's a program called WorkShare, where if an employer needs to lay off staff, rather than laying off some staff, there can be a shared sacrifice where everybody reduces their hours. And the hours they are reduced are then made up through the unemployment system. And in addition, as I keep saying, during the end of March till the end of July, people would still get that $600 on top of the partial unemployment benefits they would get. The employer has to apply for work share, and the benefits paid to the employer's workers come out of the federal funds and not out of the employer's pocket.
Awesome. Monica, thank you very much for this amazing interview. And I would like to tell everyone of our audience today that all those information and more will be in the links that Monica sent us, and we'll be posting them down in the comments. I'm asking Ibrahim and Kareem, please post those links in here so that people can benefit from that. Monica, thank you very much. And if there's anything that we can work on, I think expect someone to reach out from the staff so that we can do this together. Thank you very much, Monica. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye.